So for Kodiak bears, the conclusion is the last sentence. Did anything in the conclusion stick out to you? What stuck out, Marissa?
Well, it completely brought up this aspect of like learned behavior and like the comparison
Yeah.
being instinctive.
Yeah, is instinctive and not learned? Like, we never talked about that. All we talked about that is that they have the physique to do this, right? I can't... Anyways, physique. Thank you. But anytime a conclusion introduces a new idea or uses language that is stronger than the evidence provided, you have a problem. Okay? So I just underlined instinctive and not learned from that conclusion and looked for something that dealt with that issue. Answer choice A says few bears. Why is that a problem?
We don't know how many bears. Just said Kodiak bears in general.
Well, the conclusion was about Kodiak bears, and the evidence was about Kodiak bears. So the conclusion was sufficiently focused on what the evidence was focused on. So we didn't go from a few bears to all Kodiak bears or something like that. Wow, they're really good at 8 o'clock. All right, the argument fails to consider the possibility that could be the result of both of these things. Yes, it's failing to consider that possibility. So that's a problem. That is correct. C is a very common wrong answer, by the way. It's very rare for this to actually be correct, for the word to change in the course of the argument. If it does, or if you think this might be the answer, all you have to do is go back and look at the word when it appears both times and see if it seems to have a different meaning in each context, right? Here, it's both times they're just talking about the behavior of the bear. It's walking, whatever. Answer choice D. This is wrong, and what word makes it wrong? Or at least makes it easy to get rid of it?
Without giving justification.
Well, the without giving justification is very common with these answers. It says presumes without giving justification, which makes this a necessary assumption, right? Is that what you're going to say, Caitlin? Yep. And then it says all behavior can be explained in one or both of only 2 ways. This argument is about the behavior of Kodiak bears, not all behavior in the world, right? So as soon as you read this, you're like, okay, this doesn't have to be assumed, so out. Sound good? Okay. The authority of science, I didn't see that in there. Did you? Anyone tempted by E? Okay. So it's B. Cool with that? Any questions on this one? Which one was the most tempting wrong answer?
D.
D. Oh, okay. So there we go. You say, hey, is this a necessary assumption? Do we have to make this assumption for all behavior? No. What if there's one behavior out there? Smoking.
Well, I think
It seems
it
it applies.
because it said like the one, at least I was getting tripped up because it was like saying like the one or both of only 2 ways. So if you like read that and you know that they're talking about instinctive and not learned, then like that's how you don't get tripped up about it.
Yeah,
I
but
get that, but like
I
that's
mean-
what I was thinking when I first read that because I just glossed over the part where it said all behaviors.
Oh, yeah.
But now that I know that, that makes sense. But I'm saying that like, you know we were talking about this why we were getting like tripped up by D. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because I think it tries to throw you off, or at least it threw me off. That it's saying, you know, you see, it can be explained in one or both of only 2 ways, and you know that that was a problem in the argument.
Yeah, I see you're focusing in on the instinctive versus the not learned. I think that to make this correct, because it's a necessary assumption, we'd have to say walking behavior by Kodiak bears
Yeah.
can only be explained in one or both of 2 ways. Then that might be a lot easier to say, oh yeah, we have to make that assumption. But just because it's a blanket statement about all behavior, I'm just like,
Yeah,
what
that
about
makes
my
sense.
brushing my teeth?
Probably.
Like, does that have to be explained in one or both of only 2 ways? I don't know. Like, you can just think of one counterexample to a necessary assumption and it no longer needs to be assumed. Okay. Great.